Guess I met her at the party pit.
Hey everybody, Bryce Larson here. Well, first, just to get a couple things out of the way. I'm drinking a single malt Highland Scotch Galwini. It's fantastic. Secondly, these are my plants. They're in because it's getting cold outside. I live in Minnesota and it's starting to freeze. If you can see those and they're bothering you, don't worry about it. They're just plants. This is a quick response to Cockerpunk's video about squeezing eggs. Splattering egg yolks and whites all over his computer or whatever he was doing. I think his video is fantastic. I laughed my ass off, but also it really proves a great point. I remember back in fifth grade, I think it was, science class talking about spheres and pressure. And we did an experiment very much like that. We took an egg and you were squeezing it in your hand. You know, I'm in 5th grade, so I'm littler. Not that I'm huge now, I'm only, 5'8". But squeezing an egg in your hand as a kid, unless you applied pressure with one of your fingers more than the other, you could not break that egg because the pressure is distributed evenly over the arch of the egg, or over a dome structure. It's very similar. They're very strong. Or archways. I mean, you've seen bridges, you've seen Roman aqueducts, whatever. Arches are great support structures. I think that we've had a lot of discussions, and he was bringing up at a point that we discussed, and that if an underboring barrel is pressing around an entire radius of a paintball, rather than just hitting one side more than the other, chances of it actually breaking that paintball are pretty minimal, unless it's so far that the paintball actually cracks open along the seam because of it being squeezed so oblong. The chances are that paintball is not going to break, and I think that's really what we saw in our barrel break tests. Couple of things. First of all, his experiment was right on. Like I said, if you apply around the radius, you're going to have a pretty robust structure. The next thing is that up until this point, we've never actually had anyone post any data proving that underboring breaks more paint. It's a common knowledge, and it's one of these logical fallacies where it makes a certain amount of sense, but that doesn't make it true. If you think, squishing a paintball breaks it, that statement is true. Squishing a paintball through a tube that's slightly smaller than a paintball may not break it. Nobody has actually posted any data showing that underboring breaks more paint. The only data I've seen on this is ours, and other than that, it's purely anecdotal evidence. People saying, well, I break less paint with an overbore. Well, you chose to use an overbore because somebody told you it would break less paint. Therefore, it might be purely psychological that you think you're breaking less paint with an overboard barrel. I would love to see, in one of the responses to my video, there are a lot of text responses that saying, I shot 1,500 rounds of it, blah blah blah, and I broke only this many. I have yet to see anyone prove that underboring breaks more paint. I'm going to send this out as a challenge to anyone out there. If you can give me data on how many paintballs you break, barrel breaks, not chops, not misfeeds, not balls broken in your hopper neck because of the impeller pushing it too hard. Barrel breaks. If you can show me the data proving that underboring breaks more paint, that'll be huge. That'll show us that we're wrong on our assumptions. We shot a ton of paint. I don't have the exact numbers in front of me, and they're big, 9,000-ish rounds, and we didn't get any evidence showing that underboring broke more than overboring. I think what Gordon was posting on his last one with the egg demonstration is really kind of where we're leaning towards with this. We're going to do some tests this winter about how much force it actually takes to break a paintball. We're going to shove them through a cone so that at this end it'll be way bigger than a paintball. It's going to be smaller than a paintball, so small that there's no way it could get through broken. We're going to find out how much pressure, how much force it actually takes to break that paintball, whether it's pushing on the seam side or pushing on the other side. We're going to try to push for something that cups the back of the paintball to somewhat simulate what the air pressure is actually doing. My guess is that it's going to be an extremely high amount of force, way more than a paintball gun provides on the firing of the paintball, that actually is needed to break a paintball. But like I said, I've said this in the past on the forums, I don't want to get into my assumptions before we do a test. The test and the data really should be where we're at. So I'm going to say we're going to do a test. I think it's going to be a lot of force. I don't know. If I'm wrong and it's a minuscule amount of force, I'll absolutely admit that I was wrong. But I think that what we're going to find out is that it actually takes a lot of force applied evenly along the back of a paintball when the paintball is surrounded by something that hits it around an entire radius. So the entire, one radius of the paintball. I think it's going to take a lot of force to break that. Try the egg experiment at home. I haven't done it for years. I don't feel like messing up my kitchen right now. It's pretty clean, but grab an egg in your hand and squeeze it. See what you can do. Try the thing where Gordon was grabbing just around a single radius with the egg. a dome is a great structure. I mean, it's really an impressive structure. I think it'll really surprise you how much force it takes to break it. And like I said, if you grab it and you're pushing with one finger more than the other, yeah, you're going to punch through. But, you know, that's not how a paintball ball gun works. Until you get some sort of like, you know, pool cue based paintball gun, you're not going to be hitting it in one spot, and I don't think that would be very successful. Anyway, hope everybody's having a great fall. It's getting beautiful up here in Minnesota. We're going to do some great pump paintball action this weekend. Hope to have a huge turnout, and we'll catch you guys on the flip side. Hopefully we'll have some data for you soon. Bye.
Sped through the scene until the engine stalled. Some suburban shopping mall. Sailed away on such separate trips, and she got bent down at the party pit. Sailed away on such separate trips, and she got bent down at the party pit. And I came back to start a band, of course. I saw her walking through the crystal court. She made a scene by the revolving doors. She's gonna walk around and drink some more.